I found that the opening sequence to the film The Edge was really interesting because it left you on a cliffhanger, and therefore it made the audience want to watch the film. It helped to draw them in. And also I found that because it starred a troubled teen protagonist, it made the audience think about the narrative a bit more. So it got you thinking about who the hero and villain was and how the narrative was going to play out with those characters. I felt that it flowed really well because the use of clever editing and a different range of camera angles was cleverly used to build up tension throughout the opening sequence. If I could change anything, I would say that there weren't very many characters introduced, so it didn't give you a good overview of what might actually happen later on in the film, and it showed no sense of equilibrium. It just threw you straight in, which obviously some people enjoy, but I felt that it was a little bit rushed in that respect. And I found that sometimes the typography was written because it was in such a white font, and it was so ambient and subtle that it was kind of difficult to make out at certain points. But I found that the mise-en-scene they used throughout the opening sequence was really good because the use of techniques such as low-key lighting and body language showed you that the characters were mysterious but also had a really important part in the plot. I found that they introduced the characters really well because it shows a really clever construction of the narrative. For example, you see the teenager entering the abandoned shopping centre, and when he pulls out the grenade, it foreshadows that something bad's going to happen because bombs have connotations of destruction and violence that tells us a lot about his character. I found that the representation of the social group that they were focusing on showed teenagers to be suicidal and reckless and that we do everything on impulse. I don't particularly agree with this stereotype, but for the purpose of the narrative, I think it fits the genre really well. I found that everything they showed was appropriate for the target audience because it was really engaging, it was fast-paced, and it really drew you into the life of the protagonist, who was mysterious, and it made you question the reasoning for his actions. Having a main character that was our age automatically draws in the target audience because teenagers in audience demographic E want to see something that's relatable to them, and it means that they're able to show comparisons to their life and relate to the boy in a way. The titles that they used throughout the opening sequence suit the genre well because, as a thriller, they were very graphic and they gave a sense of modern life. They edited the typography to be really subtle, so ambient, and it fit in well with the surroundings, but it was still noticeable. However, some were a bit too discreet, like I said earlier. They had very good quality sound, which showed really good editing, and it was suitable for the genre because there was lots of tracking, because the protagonist was on roller skates a lot, so it showed that it was really fast moving, which is a typical connotation of a thriller, and the cuts and the fade out into black, which they used, was kind of creepy and threatening, which suits the genre well. One of the bits I really liked was when they established a new scene. They used a pan, for example, when he was on top of the building, they showed a pan to show how high up he was, and it kind of gave a different point of view on the film. With a variety of shots and camera angles, I found that this opening sequence is probably a high grade, most likely an A at AS level, because it showed loads of strengths, and the improvements I would make are only minor. Plus everything, it has all the conventions that I've seen in other previous opening sequences that I've analysed, so I think that they did a really good job here.